In this video, you're going to learn how to do information gathering with Python. Now, we'll start this course assuming that you already know the basics of the Python programming language, so this is a prerequisite. If you don't, you can learn for free online on YouTube and other websites, or you could also take my course Python Basics, which complements this course perfectly. Now, there are three things that we're going to code in this video. So first we're going to code a banner grabber, then we're going to look up host names, and then we're going to do IP lookup, so all in Python. I assume you already have your favorite code editor installed on your computer. Here I'm on Windows 10 and I'm going to use Visual Studio Code, which I find very suitable for my needs. Alright, now first for banner grabbing, we'll be using the requests module and we'll make a get request to the server and then print the response. So this is actually basic stuff. As you might know, when you make a request, the response headers reveal important information about the server, oftentimes way too much information. So let's do the initial imports. First we're gonna import sys. We'll be using command line arguments, which is why we need the sys module. Then we'll import requests. Okay, so if you don't already have this module installed, you could just do pip install requests. This module does not come with the standard Python library, and then we'll do some more imports later. Alright, so how this is gonna work is that we provide a command line argument containing the address of the site we want to grab the banner for. So for that, we're gonna start by doing a simple check and display a message if there's no argument provided in the command line. So we'll say if len sys argv is smaller than 2, we'll simply say print, and then we'll say, so print usage, like that, plus sys argv 0, which is the name of the script, and then we'll say plus URL. Let's say URL here. Okay, so we're going to provide a basic help message if there are no arguments provided. When we run this script with in the command line, we're gonna run it with Python info recon, which is the name of this script.py, and if there's no argument provided, then we'll actually print a message. So we're gonna print this message sys argv 0 plus the message, and then we're gonna gracefully exit, so sys exit .1. Okay, and then we're actually going to code the main functionality. So we'll say rack equals requests get, so we'll make a get request to HTTPS, and then we're gonna make a request to the domain we provide as a command line argument. So that's gonna be sys argv1, because sys argv 0 is the name of the script. So sys argv1, and then what we want is to print the headers. But first let's do a print message. So we'll say, or an output, we'll say on a new line plus string of rack.headers. Okay, so and that's actually it for the banner grabbing. Next we want to get the host name, and for that we're going to use the socket module. So to be using the socket module, we'll have to first import it. So we'll say import socket. Okay, then we go back here, and in the socket module we have this function called getHostByName, which we'll use. So first we instantiate a variable, let's say getHostBy underscore, and then we'll say socket, so we use the socket getHostByName sys argv1 Alright, and then we're actually gonna print it. So we'll say print on a new line. We'll say the IP address with double D of, and then plus sysargv1. Alright, we'll add another string, so plus a string is, like that, and then plus our variable get host by, okay, and then plus, let's actually do another new line. So we're going to move on a new line once we finish this this output. Okay, and that should actually do the trick. Now for the IP lookup part that I said we're going to do, we want to get the location of this IP that's for our domain. So the location is gonna be, we want to get the latitude and the longitude, and for that we're going to make a request to an API that provides this kind of service, and that API is so in a comment here, that API is ipinfo.io. so that's actually the API. In Python, we often use modules and also APIs to greatly enhance our work, and this is a very good example. So for this, we're going to make another request, say rec_2 equals requests dot get, another get request to https ipinfo.io. okay, and then we're gonna do, we need to provide the IP, so get host by underscore, and then what we also need to provide is that we want our response to be in the JSON format. So this is actually how a request to IP info should look like. So IP info address plus the IP plus .json to get the request in the JSON format. Okay, so because this is going to be in JSON, we can manipulate JSON with the JSON module. So going back to the top here, we need to import JSON. Okay, now going back down here, we use the load function to load the response. So let's say resp underscore equals json.loads rec underscore 2 dot text, and then we'll finally print what we need. So let's say the location, the city, and also the region. So this is like 4 prints. Let's say location is going to be the response underscore lock, that's the index which provides the location. Then we'll also print region plus response underscore, in this case it's going to be region, as you might guess. What else did I say? Print the city, okay, plus response underscore, of course, city. Alright, and finally print, let's also print the country, like that, plus response country. So I'm not being consistent here with these single double quotes. Let me actually make sure that I am consistent, just for, I don't know, better readability. So if I'm using doubles, then I'll be using doubles. Okay, now this is it for the code. So it's not, as you can see, there's not much to it. Now to test this, we're gonna open up a command line. But first, let's actually save this. Alright, and now let's actually navigate to where this is located on the desktop. And then we can simply say pi minus 3 because I'm using Python 3 here. We want to execute it. If you just have one installation of Python, you can simply do Python inforec.py and then specify the domain. But in my case, I do pi minus 3 info recon, and then let's say google.com, because Google is probably not going to be offended by our small little recon here. And then hit enter. We get a valid we get a syntax here. We need to do a plus. Alright, now let's do that again. Okay, and there you have it. We have the request headers with quite a lot of information about google.com. We have the IP address, and we also have the location, and of course we have the much needed invalid syntax error. And there you have it, a very nice response with all the information we requested. Now, isn't that awesome? So Python allows for automation at its finest. I urge you to keep on experimenting with all the modules we've worked with here, such as the sys, the requests, the socket, and the JSON, because they will greatly simplify whatever projects you are working on, be it in cybersecurity or other fields.